Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to a beautiful Thursday in Bundaberg. I have the aircons on. It looks like it's going to be another hot day, but there's very little humidity today, so it's very, very comfortable. I'm going to update you on my little rabbit vintage stitches journal that I've been working on. I have used this as a bit of a travel journal while I've been away with Mum down in Bowral, and have stitched some bits and pieces in here as souvenirs of our little trip. So I'll show you what I have done so far. And if you remember, this is made from a pillowcase, talking about how it's very difficult to get beautiful vintage, particularly cutter quilts and that sorts of thing in regional Queensland. And you can buy them online, and they're beautiful and expensive and worth the money, but then you kind of can't take a risk with them. You know, you need to be able to experiment and try new things without thinking, oh my gosh, this is such an expensive piece of treasure that I have. So this is basically from, let me grab one to show you. This was a pillowcase that I've had on my bed for years. It's just died a death. So it's just I don't know, I think it was from Spotlight or Pillow Talk or one of those. Beautiful Kath Kidston sort of pillow sham. So these are as good, you know, they're quilted. It's a piece of quilting. So, you know, it's old. It's been used for many, many years. I tea dyed this one just to bring the white down a bit, but just to show you can make things from what you have on hand, and they can still be beautiful, and it's still valid, and it's still just as good as anything because you are upcycling old textiles. So I've started with just a little bit of a retell, bit of a teacher here of our trip to the quilt show. So while I was in Sydney, I managed to have a lovely catch up with Sarah, and she gave me a heap of these little tags, and look, there was an SR for Sarah Roxburgh, so I popped that on there, and there was an RR, which are my mum's initials, but also tie in very much because we went to go to the quilt show, which was at Rosehill Racecourse, and we stayed right near the racecourse in an apartment, and then when we got in our Uber, he took us to Randwick, which is, if you know Sydney, which I don't, is miles and miles and miles away. So he just went on a let's go via Randwick tour before we came back to, you know, 800 metres basically from where we were staying. This is my little ribbon. I did get a lovely ribbon at the show, which has come home and is now up on my wall away from my golden retriever. And then this little piece of fabric came from the Nest in Sydney, and that's Mum and me off having a lovely time. So that was just a little bit of a souvenir sort of travel trip. We went down to the Southern Highlands then, so I've just done some, you know, stream of consciousness journaling with fabric, and just created our little Airbnb that we stayed in. It was beautiful. It was tulip time, which we had no idea about. But I think we picked the busiest weekend of the year to go to Bowral. But there was beautiful tulips everywhere, and would you believe I picked up an embroidery at the Nest, and it had tulips on it, so I put one there. This is our beautiful little cottage. There were bunnies everywhere, which if you're from Queensland you get excited about because you don't have bunnies. These are my deciduous trees, again, which as a gardener from a subtropical climate we get excited about. And just spring in the Southern Highlands, and here's some more little trees and our little mountains, little highlands there. I'm still working in here. This is just representing all the beautiful old villages, old cottages and stone houses with their chimneys and their beautiful gardens, all with tulips. So this page I've finished. This one I'm still working on, obviously. This one's I've finished. While we're in a little op shop in, I want to say Bundadoon, is that the right place? My brother, who was with us, found this little spoon, and it says Bowral Tulip Time. So that had to go into my little book. And Dirty Jane's, which is in Bowral, which is fabulous, which is one of the main reasons we wanted to go. When I was at Dirty Jane's, I bought these French stamps, and would you believe one of the words is tulip? Who would have thought it? So I've done some stamping on the back there, just with some stays on ink. If you want to stamp on fabric, this stays on, hence the name. It's you know, it's fast drying solvent ink, it will not move. So, you know, do a bit of a practice first. So I was able to write the tulips in the garden, the petite garden with tulips, you know, so that's the extent of my French. But my little flappy bits going over there, more little cottages. So I'm moving on to, we went down to Robertson, and I quite like this as it is, because it's got this beautiful tree that looks like it's deciduous. It's got a little cottage. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave it. I may well embroider it. I'll wait and see. So then we went down to Robertson. So down in Robertson, we went to the Green Door and had an absolutely beautiful morning there with a group of creative ladies, some of whom I know from Instagram, and they were just so welcoming and lovely. So I've been really inspired by Madame Bibicage. I'm not sure how to say her name. I apologise if that's wrong. In one of her little journals she's done this lovely roll out map. So I'm going to hand stitch that, and it's completely not representative of where these towns are at all, but it's just our little journey from Sydney to Bowral, Mittagong, Moss Vale, and down to Robertson, where we did some stitching. Now, Robertson is my maiden name. It is my mum's last name. It's my family name. So obviously that was quite a lovely connection. And so to memorialise our little trip to Robertson, I printed off the Robertson tartan and the Robertson shield, and then I've just stamped this on a bit of leather, and I've done this beautiful, very dodgy letter V, but yeah, I'm going to own it, to represent the Scottishness of it all. It was all very Scottish. I found this little guy at the Nest, and isn't he gorgeous? So I did darken him down with some ink because he was very shiny. I could have tea-dyed him as well, but I didn't want to wait. And then this beautiful pin was a gift from my lovely friend Lorraine here in Bundaberg. I did pick up some fabulous pins at a place down there called Barb's. Hang on, let me grab one. Barb's Treasures or Barb's something or other, because again, one of the ladies at the Green Door was using them, and she had the most beautiful piece of work that she was working on that was cream, and she'd put rust all over it, and she'd use these. How fabulous are they? But there was no way on God's green earth that that was going to go through any fabric. Having said that, now that I look at that one, that may have. But anyway, I've got Lorraine's in there. It was the right size. I will be using these for something else. So they're only a couple of dollars each. Barb's Treasures, Barb's something or other. So that's where I'm up to. I've got a few other things I want to put in here. Is my little bunny that I've cut out with that same template, and a bit more of the Robertson tartan. So I just printed this. I bought on Etsy, I bought a Robertson tartan image with the crest. I think it was $8. And then I just printed that onto calico. So that came up, gave me a piece of A4 to work with. And I've just pleated it like a kilt there. So one of the other things, so that's my book so far. I don't think I have done anything else. No. One of the other things that really stuck out to us down there were irises. Mum and I love irises. My grandmother, who was a gardener in Pittsworth and Toowoomba, loved irises. They were kind of her thing. So I wanted to put an iris in here. So I found in my, where is it? In my vintage iron-on labels, iron-on images, sorry, I found this one. So that came in a book of flowers that I picked up for $2 at a Vinnie's, and I have just cut it out of the top there. So it also does show you a colour code for the iris. So I'm going to try something different today. I was inspired. I was watching some videos last night, and I watched, was it Create and Craft with Christine? Or I'll have to double check. I'll double check and I will let you know. But they were using some Inktense pencils to colour in an old embroidery that hadn't been done before stitching around them. And funnily enough, I had just bought some Inktense pencils because I'd seen a few things done with them online. And they're not cheap, so I did a fair bit of research first about whether or not I would be able to buy them, use them frequently. So I got these on Amazon. I think they're about $60. So again, not cheap, and I will be hiding them from my children. But these pens are basically based, as they say, with ink. So they are permanent. They're water activated, and once you spray the water on, they're set. So you can do ceramics, you can do fabric, you can do obviously paper. You can do layers with them, because once, unlike watercolor pencils, once if you did one layer of a color and then sprayed water on it and let it set, you can then go over the top and the original layer won't move or won't be, you know, diluted or change color. So I have a set of them. I have absolutely no skill or experience with these at all, but I'm going to give it a go today just to try something different. So I have put my, let's move my little journal out the way. I've put my beautiful iron-on transfer onto this piece of doily. It also did go onto my ironing board, so it's there for life because it was really effective and I left it on for too long. Some of my others haven't been as good, and I probably held my iron on for a little bit too long. Excuse me. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use my coloured pencils to colour this in, and then I'm going to tea dye it because it's going to be too bright, I know that. But the image that I'm going from, I'll just pop you on here, is this one. So this is a vintage drawing of an iris. So I'm kind of looking for these colours. I probably shouldn't show you this because it will look nothing like this when I've finished. And then I'm going to stitch around the outside and tea dye it to bring the colours down. So something to try first. Look up. In my old age and my newfound calmness, I've got this little, whatever this thing's called, light board. And I did think that I might just try and trace it onto a bit of paper first and try it, but then I thought, nah, let's not do that. Let's just give it a crack on the item that I want to use. So I'm just going to pop a little board under him. I have some water. I have, sorry, I can't even lift that up. I have some water. I have some little paintbrushes at hand. I have my photo up there. I'll put this one away. And we're going to give it a red hot crack and see how we end up. So this is a pack of 24. So there's quite a good range of colours. I'm going to go with the purple and the blues. They're the obvious place to start. They've got pretty cool names. Well, bright blue, violet. I'm going to need, look at that, there's 4 different greens. Let's just do a bit of colouring in and have a look, hey? So let's have a little sneaky play. How exciting to try something different. Now I've got a big clip here somewhere I'm looking for here. So I'm sorry if I've called the wrong person out for the colouring in. I'm going to have a look in a minute and I'll make sure I get that right. So let's have a little play first with the colours. This is bright blue, and I'll show you what happens when we add the water. I probably don't need to press that hard. This one is violet. Is that violet? Violet. Deep indigo. I'm just going to have a look at all the blues and all the greens. They are so satisfying to colour in with. We just go on. I'll just pop them back in there. There's also that blue, but that's too bright, I'm thinking. So now let's try the greens. This one is teal. Teal green. Apple green. Really is apple green, isn't it? Apple green, field green. Oh, there's 4. This one is leaf green. And there's this one. This is, look at that. The name on this is mustard. It looks like that, but look at the colour. Mustard. Oh yeah, it's mustard. So let's have a little look at what happens when we add some water to these. And again, I am not an artist. If you are sitting there as an artist thinking, oh my God, Karen, what are you doing? Please give me some tips, because I'm excited to learn something new. And I kind of will just fake it till I make it, basically. I'm just going to blot that first a bit. Just going to add some water to see the colours that they'll come out. Yeah, you can see how strong the colours are in these. Wow. Now these can be machine washed. They can be, I'll have to just read the instructions. Wow, that violet is stunning. Look at that. That's a real iris colour, isn't it? Oh, this is very satisfying. Oh, look at that. That's like a bluey black. Too much water. I need to get myself a little spray bottle because I've seen people use a little spray bottle with these and just kind of jits it like you do, you know, if you're going out on a posh night and you set your makeup. That's real baby poo colour, isn't it? Mustard is a bit nicer. Okay, let's have a look at some, ooh, wow. That's a very limey green. This one's called leaf green. You can see I didn't put much lead down on the paper, but it's very, very bold colours. And this one is, oh wow, olive. And it is, very much so. Okay, so they're the kind of colours that I have to start with. So I'm thinking that the winners so far, we're definitely going to be doing this one with a bit of, probably a little bit of that blue. And definitely probably these three greens, I'd say. Those three. So let's let that dry. We're just going to give it a go. Let's just see. I've got my photo open in front of me. I'm going to start with the violet. I'm going to start, I'm not going to put a lot on. I'm just going to gently, and I looked at doing this in a way that this was stretched out. Maybe I should tape it down. Pencil. Geez, let's use a bit of washi tape because that's kind of all I have. Look at that. Take down and pretty. Yeah, washi tape's about as effective as you would think it would be. It doesn't need to be taut, I just don't want it to move too much. Okay. I am making this up as I go along, so please don't be horrified if you are someone who knows what they're doing. So I'm just going to put some really light, this is violet, I think it's violet, oh that's bright blue, wrong one, I want violet. Make sure you read them, hey. That's deep indigo, that's it, violet, that's right. I'll come back through, I kind of want it darker at the top I think, hey. Now I know that you can come back with these and draw quite sharp lines as well over the top, which I think would work particularly well for an iris, where they've kind of got those lovely lines and creases. And because I've already done the blue, I'm going to have to do some more on this side. Not forgetting that I am going to tea dye this, so these colours will all be set down a bit. There's the blue. And who doesn't love colouring in? I said they're not cheap. You can get a set of 12, but there was only like $8 difference. And by the time you pay for delivery, because you know, whoop whoop. So I'm thinking this little bit needs to be either lighter or darker. What do you think? So having a look at these colours, I might see if I can use a bit of the darker blue. It's that one, just to kind of make that have a bit of shadow. Yes, there's the first tip. Look at the ends, not the tip, because the tip doesn't always look like the colour. Okay. So I'm just looking at this picture. See how up the middle it's kind of white? Because it's kind of this bit that I have now. So I'm going to use some white just to use my, put some purple down there. And I'm just going to put white on one side. Again, no idea how this is going to work. And then some of the dark blue on the other. I'm not sure what that bit up there is. Let me have a look. I'll just keep this whole thing out as reference, because as you colour in, you kind of lose your shape a bit. Oh, I see, yeah. So they're actually where the leaf finishes, so that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do all of the flower first. This is, what are you, dark blue, deep indigo. I'm going to go back to my blue, which is this one. And when I'm looking at a folded over leaf, yeah, okay, the dark bit is, where is you? Where is you? Where is you? That's where I'm up to. I'm just gonna trust my guts, because at the end of the day, it's just playing. I'm just wondering if a spray bottle is going to be more effective than dabbing on water, which might bleed, if you know what I mean. Can you see? I might just zoom in a little bit. There we go. Sorry, is that better? So again, this is the mauve, the purple. So I'm going to do the purple at the top, covering all of him. And I kind of want to do a lighter. Again, I'm not sure how these are going to respond to water or blend or anything, but this is all purple down the bottom. And I'm going to put some white. So I don't know if that's going to work. In as a kind of, and then down here, so a little bit of purple here. So very different from using watercolour pencils, because we know how bold this colour is. So I'm just looking at this bit here, thinking that's got to be a darker colour, don't you think? So I might just go a bit harder with this one in there. And again, you can do layers on these, unlike watercolours. So like if there's not enough definition, you can wait for this to dry and then add some more. Add some more. It's good. Again, no idea how that's going to look, but so I've done some white kind of lines up just to go with the direction of the petals. I'm just going to look. Sometimes you just got to do it, hey. Alrighty, so the stem here, let's have a look at some green. Quite like this green, which is the olive green. So like this part here has got some brown and some green, so I might just look for the light. We didn't do a brown, let me just have a look. I'm just going to give that one a crack. That's called Baked Earth. So I think that this kind of funny bit here is that bit that you get on an iris, you know, and then this is the bottom. Now is the bottom of the iris, that's green. Okay, I need a little bit of brown. Then let's get some green going. Green. where that bit ends, darker green. Is that? Oh yes, I see. I'm just looking at it over here, it's easier to see. So if I go down, I think this brown bit, see that didn't come up, did it? It's not on here. And I'm going to put it on. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop thinking about it and just do it. And some dark, let's give that a bit of shade. And then I'm going to go down into these leaves. So this is leaf green. So I have leaf green and not mustard. I don't want mustard. I thought I had. Is that one? Yes, it is. I think I do need a little bit of a greeny green. Let's have a look. What do you think? This one. Let's pull my book down a bit. Which one was that one? That one. And that one was that one. I'm going to go for a little bit of the lighter one, just as a contrast. And then if I look at the leaves in my picture, they're kind of dark along the bottom. You know what, I'm just going to wing it. When in doubt, just make it up, hey. And then they fold. So I'm just going to lay down a layer of this kind of backgroundy olive green, which I think is a really nice leafy colour. It's not too bold. And then we'll just do some highlights and lowlights where it looks like it would make sense. And again, this is all trial, so I might do this and decide, no, I'm not going to add that to my journal. Or we might have found a whole new tool to play with. So I'm doing some courses online at the moment on Domestika because I accidentally bought a subscription. You know how that happens. So now I'm doing some courses which on how to use these pens better, these pencils, sorry, better, for things that I want to do. So there's some drawing there and some things that will be good for my journals, I think. Let's just go down. Alright, so we're going to have the dark side here. Sorry, can you see? I just need to stretch it taut. Alright, let's get a bit of lighter colour in. And again, I might have put way too much colour, too much actual colouring in, depending, because the ink seems to be quite bold. And then I'm going to pop, and look, I'm going to put everything away as I go. This is my new challenge for the year, for this term, so I don't end up having to do a massive cleanup at the end of every thing I do. Alright, let's bring some white out and just give us a bit of white there. And again, I don't know whether it's better to go back and do this afterwards, the white, but we're going to give it a crack here to start with. What do you think? Any more brown? I do feel like I need to get these are the dark ones, charcoal and ink black. Let's have a look. That is charcoal grey, ink black. I should actually be writing the names of these next to them, shouldn't I? Okay, that's charcoal. I see I used way too much water there. And yeah, well, ink black is as it says. So I'm going to use a bit of ink black just to do a line every now and then there. Maybe here, so we can tell where that finishes and that begins. Oops. And are there any black lines? So I'm not going to do black up here just yet. I'll wait and maybe. Just wondering if I have a squeezy bottle anywhere. I don't think I do. So let's just add some water. See my very dodgy decision making so far. So I'm going to use a brush. This one's actually quite soft. These are just from Kmart, seriously. They're just a bunch of little brushes because, again, I'm not an artist. So I'm going to dip and then just blot it onto a towel so I don't overdo myself. And I'm just going to start with the green. Actually, I'm going to start with the purple just because that will be more fun, I think. And again, learning as we go. Oh, look at that. So this is just on a little blue mat. This is from Corinne at her retreat. And I've used it so much, Corinne. It's very useful. Thank you. You can see how it's all kind of blending. You can see it kind of any definition is gone. So, oh, gee, way too much water on there. Hasn't bled too much. I mean, this is quite a fine bit of fabric. It's quite finely woven, so I'm hoping that helps it not to bleed. So I kind of don't want to blend it. I just want it to do what it's doing where it's doing it. That makes sense. Yeah. What do you think? Very satisfying. It's like those old watercolor books you get for kids, you know, they're just like a plain paper and you add water and they the colors appear. And you can see it has bled through there. Again, too much water probably, and it probably would help if I had something absorb it under it. Dummy. Let's try. I'm just going to pull it up. I'm just going to try putting it on this towel just to see if that at all changes how it absorbs. I'm trying not to put too much water, or whether that makes no difference at all. I can see the colours are very intense, hence the name. So this is probably painful to watch, is it? It's not too bad, hey, considering that I have zero drawing skills. I can copy, but I can't draw. My husband's a very good drawer. Let's start up here. You can see where that purple has run. So what I could do next round, is actually just where the purples run, see if I can put some colour over that. I don't know, does anyone have any advice? I don't like how this bit is just like a big line. It's a very fine line before putting too much water and not enough. Alright. I'm going to let that set, have its moment. What do you think? It's not bad. I'm going to have a look at the instructions. It says Inktense, blah blah blah. I use dry smooth texture. They're also erasable. It says 7 blocks. So these can be used on different surfaces. Let me just see. Push button water. See, that's what I need, a spritzer, which is a posh word for a water spray, which I'll get from Kmart, as opposed to, you know, an art shop twin hole sharpener. What else does it say? So you can do paper, ceramic, fabric. So colour performs best on cotton, polyester, canvas and silk. Colour will stay in place when hand washed in cool water with no harsh detergents. You can use it on wood, rubber, stone, pebbles and cardboard. Okay, there are all the colours. So, you know, I will continue to fiddle with these and continue to go online and look for other, look for some artists who actually know what they're doing to help me improve and find lots of uses for them. I'm going to let that dry, and while that's drying, I'm going to continue to do some work in my little journal. So I'm going to put that whole thing over there, and we're going to get this little guy out and do some stitching. So handmade, we're 36 minutes in, so I'm going to let him dry. I wonder if I could iron it. What do you reckon? Given that I'm so good at waiting. No, wait, Karen. Alrighty, let's have a look. I've got RR for Randwick Racecourse, or Rhonda Robertson, who's my mum, or Rosehill Racecourse. SR for Sarah Roxburgh, and this was her little gift. She gave me a whole big handful of these, which I love. This is where we stayed. It's my brother's house we went to visit. So this is just a little story journal, all the little things. So we're going to stitch down this guy today. And I'll link to this lady's, the lady who gave me inspiration for this, her Instagram. I'm not sure if she has YouTube as well. Her stuff is fabulous, just really inspiring. So I'm not going to do that bit today, because I would quite like to do that in these pens too, I think. And I'm going to, I might just take my spoon off. Doesn't everyone want a spoon tied in their journal? Just take my spoon off while I'm working on the back page of this. So you can see here I've actually just put tulips in the garden, the petite little tulip, and I've got some vintage fabric that I happen to have. And these are, you know, imagine they're tulips. So I'm going to work on this side now. So paints and colouring in away. Needles at dawn. Let's go. So I have 4 more days of holidays. It's Thursday. I've got some things to do this afternoon. We've got dinner with friends tonight, and then I intend to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday uninterrupted, doing some filming, so that when we go back to school next week, everything doesn't die and I don't disappear. Term 4 is pretty manic, as you can imagine. All right, let's get some threads out and a thimble, have a drink. Now, I'm up to, my camera is saying it's hot, so I'm going to pop off there and do some stitching on that and come back when I can just give my camera a bit of a break. Thanks for popping in.